Should believers in God teach their children fairy tales, Disney characters, Disney movies, science fiction? There is a very vague line in modern day about the line. Where is the line between faithfulness to God and casting down every vain imagination and entertainment and a refreshing things for the children? If you actually care, if you actually love the Lord, if you actually want to do what is just and right, then this message is for you. Most people, as it so happens, don't really care, so why waste your time listening to this message? You don't care, so you're not going to change anything. But if you actually do care, if you actually want the truth, in Israel, here there's a website, a Hebrew website called Yeshiva. It is a website where you can send questions to the rabbis about different things, and the rabbis give you answers. Now, the rabbis are a hit or miss, but for the most part, though, you gotta give them credit. They do focus on keeping the people holy. So I was interested in seeing what they have to say about this subject, and well, lo and behold, they actually had some wise words to say about all of this science fiction mess and all these fantasy movies and superheroes. Well, look, here's the bottom line. You should not allow your children to watch anything that contradicts the real life practicality of this planet created by God under His absolute moral authority. And that includes all of those Disney characters and those sci-fi movies and all of these other things, and like I said, made up universes with laws and rulers and avengers and characters that have more power that does not exist in the real world. Because what happens particularly with children is that children's imagination go wild and they go astray, which is why the Torah strictly tells you to raise up your son in the way he should go. It tells you in Deuteronomy chapter 6, when you lie down, when you get up, when you walk about, when you come back, impress these words of mine on your children. Don't pawn them off to the devil, to the Disney character and to Disneyland and all of that mess, all of these princesses and the superheroes. Because children have no spiritual discernment. They do not know what they watch. What they watch gets imprinted on their mind. 40 years later, it's still deep down in their subconscious, in their memory. It is a very dangerous thing to raise up a child, because their mind is so impressionable. Everything leaves a mark. And if you actually love your child and you want the best for them, well, don't you want them to know the Lord, the only living God, in the real world, not some sort of a movie or a fantasy or a science fiction crafted in the minds of men? The Torah is not a sci-fi book. It is the instruction of our Maker, the one who made us. We are in His imagination. He's not a part of ours. And if you actually believe that, shouldn't you act accordingly? But yet it seems that so many, particularly in the West, take God so lightly. They give more attention and seriousness, like I said, to Disney. I see people that are alleged believers with backpacks with Donald Duck or Daffy Duck or any other of those Mickey Mouse characters or Batman. Why? Why? I just wonder, if you believe in God, shouldn't you worship God? He said you shall have no other gods before me. Well, if you put on a Batman shirt, guess what? You're wearing the Batman brand. It's a form of worship. If you have a Mickey Mouse hat, That's a form of worship. Your children should not dress up like Cinderella or like any of the other Disney princesses for their Halloween costume parties, which they should not be celebrating anyway. Wearing costumes is ungodly and unholy. Sure, they enjoy it, of course they do. They're children. Give them candy and sugar. Give them chocolates for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The fact they enjoy it does not mean they should have it. You are the parent, you are the adult. You should give them what's good for them, not what they want. If it was up to them, they'd kill themselves. Like that fat kid in Willy Wonka, right? Same thing. Children, by their nature, are self-destructive. Humans in general. Which is why we have to seek God, because He is life. He gives life. You have to cast down every vain imagination. What do you think that means? All of these Harry Potter books, all of this Lord of the Rings, sorcery, Gandalf mess, the all-seeing eye of evil. No. It's the all-seeing eye of God, the Lord. He sees everything. The devil does not see everything. He's an angel. He can only be at one place at one time. He's not God. But all of these movies and books and novels and sci-fi, Star Trek, Star Wars, you name it, they throw you into a world of confusion. And your mind cannot discern the truth from the lie. Remember, you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Consciously, you know what you're watching is false, but your subconscious mind cannot differentiate the two. Which is why you get scared when you watch a horror movie. You know it's a movie, but it doesn't matter. Your mind sees those images, it doesn't know. Then you get nightmares later. It works in all sorts of things that you watch and that you hear, which is why you have to guard your mind. Guard your eyes and guard your ears. You have to be extremely particular about what you watch, and even more so with your children. Now, if you're mature, if you're an adult, you have spiritual discernment, you can have a little bit more leeway in that regard. We do watch some movies that are clean. We vet them out first. I don't just watch anything. But there are a few movies that we enjoy. Movies that are about good morals, good values, good lessons. No vulgarity, no obscenity, none of that naked mess. Because the Torah, the instruction of God, really spreads out into every aspect of life. But even when you do that, when you want to go into those areas of life and learn, you still have to make sure that the person who made the things that you're watching has a good spirit, because you can put on a good message with a bad spirit or a bad message in a good spirit. You know, you watch horrible movies that, I say horrible in the sense that something bad happens in them, but the movies themselves are made by someone moral, so that the movie actually encourages you to do the right thing. You will see characters that have character and integrity. And then you got movies that are nothing really in them, but they put all kind of nasty scenes in them with bad images and bad language and promoting bad agenda. There are some movies we used to like and we can't watch them anymore because now we have the better eyes to see and like, oh, they're actually pushing this lesbian mess in it. Yeah, they allegedly go against terrorists and hate speech and all that, but then they also put that lesbian mess because the director, they're transgenders. We don't watch that anymore. You gotta be real careful. It's your mind. So much more valuable than your body. Your spirit is eternal. Don't let your children watch all of that Marvel comic mess, DC, Disney. It's gonna destroy their mind, raise them up in the Lord. There's plenty of stories in the scripture that are actual historical facts of events that happened. Raise their minds on that. The battles of David, Gideon, against the Midianites. The reunion of Yosef and his brothers with his father. Stories that will bring tears to your eyes with joy when Jacob realizes his son is alive, goes down to Egypt to see him. Just thinking about it, I get emotional. Just putting myself in his shoes. After 14 years or more, thinking his son was dead, and now he realizes he's alive. He goes, my son is alive? What else do you need? It's beautiful. Why would you spend your time, waste your time watching something that a wicked man wrote? Now, if you want some good science fiction, at least read something that teaches you about life. We can recommend, if you are a spiritual person and you mature, again, not for young people, but for a mature person, book called by Frank E. Peretti, The Present Darkness. It's about the spiritual battle, the spiritual war. It will help you understand it, but then again, it's not for children. It's a very intense book, so use discernment. But I'm just putting it out there if you are seeking to grow spiritually. You have to use wisdom, and if you do not have wisdom, pray and ask the Lord to give wisdom. We know that God is generous and He gives to those who sincerely ask. Don't compromise and don't sacrifice yourself or your children for this culture of this pagan world. All it takes is a little bit of chametz to leaven the whole loaf, just a little bit. You let your child watch one superhero movie, guess what? They're gonna wanna watch another one. And then when you say no, they're gonna go over to their friend's house and watch it there. And that's another thing for you. You with children, be careful who the friends of your child are. You gotta vet them out and see what their parents are all about. Before you know it, he's gonna come home and speak this uncanny language. Where did you pick that up, Johnny? Yeah, he went over to his friend's house where he got sexually molested. It happens all the time. Be very careful who you let around your child. It's your child. Protect him like a lion, like a lioness. Don't let just anyone get around them. How much more so their mind? You let them watch all of these godless YouTube videos, some gay guy teaching them how to spell words with his pink shirt and his purple hat. Hi guys, we're gonna teach you the alphabet. No, you're not gonna teach him anything. Get away, you devil. I'm gonna teach my son how to read and how to spell. Stop pawning your children off to the devil. It's your child. You raise him up. You teach him. You educate him. Sure, he might have to go to the education system, but you better prepare him for it. You better equip him. You better raise him up first so that he knows what he's into. Don't send him unprepared. This is a spiritual war out there. The public school system, you don't know what he's gonna go through over there. Who are the other kids in the classroom? Where they come from? Who are their parents? Some of them are bewitched. Some of them are already possessed from their home. And they're gonna come and start engaging in all kind of voodoo ceremonies with your child. Teach them about witches and leeches and all kind of sitches. Protect your children. This is war. Fight the good fight of faith. Guard your mind, guard your heart. Be faithful, and you will get the crown of life. And if you won't, it's not going to end well for you.
Guy did a message about children. A very good message. It prompted me to think. Children need direction. They want what they want. And you don't just let them have what they want. You guard it. You teach it. You say no a lot. And then you send them to schools so other people can help them learn what they should want. And then you send them to churches so that the spiritual people can help them learn what they should want and God's will. And so children left to themselves would destroy themselves. they would destroy themselves. They have a movie about the Tongan teenage boys that got stranded on an island. They were Tongan. Of course, they then made another movie, fictional, about them called Lord of the Flies. They just descended into utter feral human activity. They went from very classy British kids to very vulgar, even cannibalistic. And we talk about what it's like, and that is until the adults showed up. And then all of a sudden they had a moment of realization. That's the fictional book, Lord of the Flies. The real story that happened with the Tongan youth, that was something in 1965. These boys set out on an adventure that turned into a real life Lord of the Flies. So you have to ask yourself, the real life Lord of the Flies, are you that way? Has the adults showed up? You've been wild, stranded on an island without any supervision? Children without any supervision? They used to say, when the cat's away, the mice will play. And how many of us, when we were children, when our parents were not around, what did we do? We fooled around. When the teacher walked out of the class and then she would come back in, the noise would stop. Or you would hide something. You stopped passing notes. Remember? Until the adult in the room. The problem is that you become an adult, but you're still a child at heart. And that's the problem. You see, the child has some boundary stones, some protective rails. It's the adults. They're little, so they're large people. They can't quite get away with as much as they could if they were big. But that child is just biting his lip, counting down the days till he becomes big enough to punch daddy or beat mommy or shoot the teacher or shoot the cop or kill the priest, kill the preacher, steal the money. You see, when he becomes big enough, large enough, smart enough, clever enough, then he doesn't feel those rails and he sees he can jump over those rails. He can break those rails, bend them. He can manipulate those rails. And the older you get, the less rails you have around you. You see, the older you get, you have to make a conscious effort to willfully choose the rails, to willfully choose to submit without force. You're underage or minor. You have no choice. You can be locked in your room. Someone else is paying for your food and your clothes and your transportation. But now that you're able to make money on your own, you don't have to sneak or steal it, although some of you do that still. You've got the money to buy it. You can stop at that motel and meet up with that woman before you go home to your wife or go home to your husband. You women do that too. You can stay late at the office to fool around with the boss and tell your husband you're going to be late. You see, we play games when we're older. Games, a higher stake game, not like a child. Mom and dad can't fix it now. It's not so easy. The courts are not going to be so lenient now, and neither is God. You're an adult now. You're not going to be treated like an petulant, immature, ignorant child. You should know better, and the penalty is going to be much higher. So why don't you do what's necessary? And do for yourself what you do for your children, or what some of you parents did for your children. Why don't you put guardrails around you? Willfully choose and find someone to hold you accountable. Willfully submit yourself to an authority a spiritual authority, a government authority, a municipal authority, an academic authority. Something to help guard you against yourself, like children need. Are we not children of God? And that's the strength of, when I was a child, I spoke as a child, I acted like a child, but when I was an adult, I put away childish things. Now that I know how to deal with the child in me, I need to seek out those who can help deal with the child in me. Because I'm no longer an innocent child.
When I was a young boy, I dreamed I was a big boy. But I didn't do more than I could dream. How would it be when I become a big boy? Wonder the same toys that make me smile or bring joy. No more will I be that child. I'm no longer that innocent child. How will I find that innocent child? We all can be that innocent child when we're born again. Born again. Now that I am older, the world seems colder, the bad much bolder than I believed when I was 3. Now that I am wiser, the light is much brighter, the truth much simpler as once before when I was 4. I'm no longer the innocent child. How will I find that innocent child? We all can be that innocent child when we're born again. Born again. Born again. La la la, la la, la 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 la. Now that I'm wiser, the light is much brighter, the truth much simpler as once before when I was 4. I'm no longer that innocent child. How will I find that innocent child? We all can be that innocent child when we're born again. Born again, when we're born again. When we're born again, when we're born again, you can be born I was a big boy, but the feeling did more than I could dream. How would it be when I become a big boy?